Now, I know that a lot of people, they do not follow their passion because they feel trapped. Tell me if you've heard this. I'm hearing about people feeling like prisoners because they're trapped by their own lives. Have you heard this before? They think they're trapped, but they're not. They call it the prisoner phenomenon. It's thinking you're trapped, but you're not really trapped. I'll give you an example. Talk with an executive of a company, and he's telling me how he feels trapped by his own success. He said, Gordon, I have a great job. I make a lot of money. I've worked really hard to get where I am. I'm well respected at my company, but they keep pulling on me for more and more. I'm already working 80, 90 hours a week. I hardly see my family. I mean, I think I'm doing the right thing, but there's got to be more to life than this. Then he's telling me about how he got really upset with a colleague of his. He says, my coworker, he's banging on the door, wanting to talk about this project. And I said, come back later. He kept banging on the door, wanting to talk about this project. I said, come back later. Gordon, he kept banging on the door. He says, Gordon, it wasn't I didn't want to talk about the project. It's just the door that he was banging on was through the bathroom stall that I'm sitting in. Something about feeling trapped. CEO of a public company confided in me when he said, Gordon, you have no idea the pressure I'm under by our board to keep Wall Street happy. Sometimes the only way I can get profits is by laying people off. Then I have to look our employees in the eye, many of whom live paycheck to paycheck. But I'm trapped because I know if I don't do it, they'll just get somebody else in here who will. You hear the real irony of that story? 2 weeks later, he gets canned. This prisoner phenomenon, it's not just in the world of work. It's in our personal lives. A buddy of mine sometime back calls me up and he says, Gabby and I know that our marriage is over. I mean, we just can't stand being together. But we're not going to get a divorce. We don't want to put our kids through the trauma of that. So we've decided we have to stay together. Because that's the right thing to do, isn't it, Gordon? Listen, I'm not going to argue the merits of that decision. And I remember a few of my own relationships that felt like prison. There was one, I could have called it Alcatraz, it just seemed inescapable. See, I want to break up with this girl, right? But for weeks she'd been asking me, are you going to break up with me? I kept telling her no. So finally my best friend Larry, he goes, man, you got to cut her loose. You're not doing her any favors by stringing her along. Larry was right. I finally got up the courage and went over to her house to break the news. And I remember sitting in the living room, and before I could even open my mouth, she says, Gordon, we need to talk. I'm not happy, and I want to get out of this relationship. Here's what I didn't see coming. She said, now I want to stay friends, but would you mind if I dated your friend Larry? Apparently Larry had unlocked the doors to Alcatraz from me some weeks earlier. Listen, if you think that you're trapped by some circumstances in your own life, are you sure? Are you really sure? I don't know, maybe your situation is different. Maybe you are a prisoner. Maybe you are trapped. Maybe you're right. Are you sure? Are you really sure? You see, I work with people all the time who are releasing themselves from their own self-made prison. And it begins when they start thinking that it's possible. You know, as officers and Toastmasters, as leaders, as anybody that you influence, what a wonderful position that you're in to be able to help other people to release themselves from their own prison. It just begins with them thinking that it's possible. Sometimes that's maybe all you have to do is just tell them it's possible.